Welcome back, everyone. My name is Jamin, and my next guest is at the top of today's talent crop, according to Rolling Stone's writers. If you watch much TV, you've already heard his music because they use his original tunes in, NBC's Life, Friday Night Lights, Everwood. The list goes on and on. He's, of course, got several albums, and he's toured the nation playing his music. He is the California troubadour, Will Derryberry. Well, Will, thanks for doing this interview.
Sure.
You said once that the power and confession of an honest lyric and a melody that can take us to the next place where our heart lives, that's kind of what you're going for. How do you write a lyric that you think is going to be convincing in that way?
I think it probably starts, for me, getting alone. And I've always kind of looked at what I did as a songwriter more as... It's kind of like how someone would journal something. And so if I'm speaking honestly from my heart, the chances are there's other people who are probably at that same spot or can relate to it or identify with that at some point, wherever they are in their life. So I kind of look at it that way. It's almost kind of more of a confessional thing. Of sorts, but I just try to keep it honest and keep it with like you hear writers always say, write what you know,
right?
And try to keep it that way, and keeping it from the perspective of what I believe to be true, and is always a big part of it too. So
logistically, then, how do you know if you've got a lyric that's good on an album, or if it's just emotional honesty?
I think there's the two sides of it. There's the inspired side of it, and then there's the craft side of it, where you hopefully they both kind of come together and work. And it usually for me, I kind of see it that way, where I'll have the influence from inspiration, but then as I'm writing, I'm thinking, okay. This is what I want to say. How do I say it and not have it be cliche? And there's just the cheesy rhymes that everybody uses. Like, oh, that's cliche. I don't want to say it that way, but I want to say it in a way that I know that is true to myself and that doesn't hit me wrong. It's almost a feel thing. It's more so than just an intellectual, like, okay, this word pops into here, this word pops into here, even though that does work sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, it's more like that, I think, for me. I'm just trying to meld those two and try to make sense of, okay, is this something that's relevant? Is this something that makes sense? Is this something that people can relate to from their heart? That if I'm not able to relate to it from that level, then forget about it. It's probably not worth it. So
right. So then, once you've developed that, how do you know, coming back to it before you record it on an album or something? The critics, how do you delineate between the critics who are not right and the critics who you want to listen to, as far as whether that's going to work or not?
I don't know that I can really do that, because there are times where I've been told, that's too abstract. I don't see how that's going to work. And then I had that same song that people were saying that to, that was used in multiple TV instances. I'm like, well, I guess it worked for some people,
Right. As a performer, what is like a moment or two that sticks out is where you went like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm here, can't believe I'm doing this, or where you got really excited about what you were doing in that moment?
For me, I don't actually feel like a performer. I've always kind of felt weird about that, but I think that more than a live situation, because I don't have those feelings live very much in front of people, because it just feels weird. But when I'm actually writing songs alone is when I kind of have those moments, those like, oh, that's what I'm trying to say, because it's hard enough, you get in situations where you're talking with somebody and you may be talking about something that you're passionate about, but you don't really quite get it out in a conversation. Then when you can have that time alone to kind of really work through it in your mind and kind of go, oh, that's what I want to say. Those are the kind of moments for me where it's like, oh yeah, it kind of gets me all amped up.
Right.
It's cool. So it's probably more, because I'm more of a songwriter anyways. That's kind of more my passion than actually getting up and trying to do anything.
So then on the flip side of that then, I guess, do you remember any specific moments where like just everything went wrong and you felt this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing?
I just want to quit.
Yeah.
Like my guitar solo, my stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. I remember early on there was a time where I was traveling around with. Did you ever know Ian or Baron? I used to play with these guys.
I know of them. Yeah.
Okay. But we were playing. I think we were like in Reading or somewhere up northern California, high up there, and I forgot all my CDs when they were at the other place we were playing at, and I broke 2 strings at the same time. I didn't have a backup guitar. I'm trying to figure out how to change my strings and how to, try to fill space, and there was it wasn't a good turnout to this concert, and it was just a weird vibe, and people were saying weird stuff, and I was feeling so insecure, and I just remember calling Michelle and just going, "Oh, I don't think I can do this anymore." It was awful. It was awful. Yeah. It was just everything going wrong, and it's it's kind of one of those things where it's okay, one thing led to another, and my guitar tone sounded terrible, and the sound in the auditorium sounded terrible, and I wasn't remembering my songs because I was so off track, and it was like a domino effect. It was awful.
What was some of the best advice you got from any musician or songwriter, producer? Do you remember anything that really stuck out, kind of changed the way you looked at stuff?
Oh yeah. This wasn't anybody that was musical. It was a pastor that was really a mentor for me for a while, and really just awesome guy. I think about his words just rambling around in my brain for just about just in these certain situations I'll hear his voice saying certain things. But the thing is he just always reminded me. He said, just stick to your strengths. I mean, everybody wants you to try to get better at the things that you're not necessarily good at or that are at your strengths. Mm-hmm. He said, just focus on your strengths, and you'll be all right. Yeah. It's simple, but it's really true. It just helps you feel better about yourself and more confident, and so that's probably the biggest thing,
Yeah.
Me, so
it's great advice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Will.
Yeah. You bet, man.
Now, wait a minute. I know you guitarists are saying, why didn't you ask him about his gear, right? Well, on my way out, I did, and he gave me the tour. This is what he showed me.
Over distorted type amps. So I used that, and then my dad and I actually built this cabinet here that's ported on the bottom, so you get a little more of that bass response. So you got a Derryberry custom right here, and then the Z right there.
All right, so tell us what we got going here.
So it's pretty basic board. It's not a whole lot of eye candy on this thing, but it is a cool board, and then it's real easy. I'm going into actually I got this here. This guy here in the Bay Area made this for me and put it all together. A Vertex just in and out, kind of keeps the signal clean, and then I go into the volume, a Vox wah pedal. Then this is a really cool. I leave this on for almost everything. I keep the gain structure pretty low. Just so it gives me a little bit of bite, but not too much, and I can control how much goes in and out with my volume on my guitar. But the BB preamp is really cool, made by Exotic Effects. And then, of course, an Ibanez Tube Screamer here that I use in conjunction sometimes with this. Both these to give me kind of more of a fuzz face kind of tone. And then a Carl Martin, I use this occasionally just to, especially when I'm doing cleaner stuff, to just kind of bring out some smoothness to it. And then, of course, the M13 Hairline 6, which gives me a whole bunch of pedals that would not all fit on this board if I were to have them all singled out. So, but usually what I use with this is primarily a delay. I have 3 different types of delays: a dotted delay, a whole note delay, and then I multi-tap it there, and then I have my reverbs there. And occasionally I use an extra, like a classic distortion, just to give it a little extra for those songs that need it. And it's kind of modeled after a rap distortion. So that's basically it. While you sleep, I sing your lifelong